The next step after that property's been rehabbed is getting the property back on the market for either resale or rental. And I'm going to take the resale direction first. If we're going to be reselling that property, what we'll need to do is once the rehab is completed, you would then contact us and you'd say, okay, Chase Real Estate, I've got my property all fixed up, cleaned up. We've done our pre-listing home inspection. Home is ready to go. Let's go ahead and get this home listed for sale. Now what we do is we make things very, very simple here at our office. We're pretty tech savvy, I would say, but not overly tech savvy. What we do is we use a transaction management system to manage your transaction. So everything that we do when we're listing your house, you want to list your home for sale, and we need to do like a listing agreement and disclosures and all those things. We do that through a transaction management system, and everything is done e-signature. So you can sign it on your mobile device, from your computer. We don't have to meet you in person to do a actual listing agreement and disclosures to get your property listed. So you would contact us. Once you contact our firm, we even have like an online form that you can fill out, and we can send that right over to you. You fill that out. That kind of gets us all prepped up to get the paperwork together. And I shouldn't say paperwork, I should say the electronic paperwork together. And then what we're going to do is we're going to email that over to you. You'll just click some buttons on signing to get the property listed for sale. And then at that point, that's when we're going to kind of put on our regular realtor hat. We're going to put a sign out in the yard, a key box on the door. We're going to get that property listed in the MLS. We're going to be marketing the property. And the big thing that we do is we take this part real serious. To help get this property sold is a real benefit to us, because the second you get this property sold and you make profit on this house, guess what you're back out doing? You're back out buying another property with us again. And whenever you buy one of these properties, that's where we get paid in this process. The bank, the government, the asset manager pays us a commission to sell properties. That's where we get paid. When you get this property all fixed up, cleaned up, the home gets back on the market, we get the home relisted. If we list the house and we sell the house ourselves, there's no commission at all. So if we list it and we sell it ourselves, there's no commission. If we list the property and another agent's involved, so let's say another agent from XYZ Realty brings a buyer through, you've got to factor in paying out a 3% commission. That's your worst case scenario and your most likely scenario. So I always want you budgeting into your numbers that you would have to pay out a 3% commission when you go to resell that property. And again, why do we do that? We want to take care of our investors on the back end when they're going to resell that property, because that 3% savings and commission that a normal realtor would charge goes into your pocket as profit, and you're that much more likely to come back and buy another property with us again, and we do the whole same process. And that's why our investors buy properties from us over and over, instead of buying just one house and saying, I'm going to go move on to some other real estate broker. So once we get that paperwork together, we get the home marketed. The marketing process is pretty detailed. I mean, we're putting it into the Zillows and the Redfins and the Trulias and all the different websites that are out there. We do have a strong advertising budget. We sell over 1,000 homes every year, and because of that, we have the ability to afford some of these higher level, like Zillow Premier Agent services, and it gets your property in front of a lot more people than your average real estate agent that only sells maybe 10 or 15 homes a year. So we really are marketing it, and one of the most important parts while we have your property listed is we enter it into a showing service. And this showing service is so cool. It lets you know anytime a real estate agent and buyer are showing your property. So you get an automatic email and it sends it over to you. Jane Doe with XYZ Realty is showing your property today between 5 and 6 p.m. After Jane Doe shows your property, it sends to Jane Doe, to her and her buyer, a little survey, a feedback form of what did you think about the location? What did you think about the price? What did you think about the condition? What did you think about the overall area, and some free space for the agent to type. And that type of data is so important because when that agent fills out that survey form, I, as your listing broker, Chase Real Estate, we get that feedback form, as do you, the seller who owns the property, and we both get to see what people are saying about your house. And the one thing I kind of use as an example is if a home smells like, we get some feedback on the property and one agent goes through and they say it smells like cat urine, and the next day another agent goes through and says the home smells like cat urine. Well, guess what? Your home smells like cat urine. So we've got to do something about it. And we've got to get that property, that item corrected. But getting that feedback early on in the process is critical. And that's what we're able to do. Whenever we list a property, we automatically get it into our showing service, and you're automatically set up to get those feedback responses so we can react quickly early on in the first week of the home being on the market, not on the third month and going, let's just reduce price, let's reduce price. I don't like reducing price on a property. We should have priced that property from the get-go right on the money, because there's comps that are out there that we've been using since we purchased the property. And when we listed the house, we look at the market. So it's usually not the price being the issue. It usually is the condition being the issue. So if we hear that feedback, we're going to go ahead and correct that and then move forward to getting an offer on the property. As we're getting showings on the home, we're going to get an offer on the property. Once an offer comes in, again, that's where we use our electronic management, transaction management system. We go ahead and offer is submitted. We get everything in, the sales contract, the disclosure signed by the buyer. We look over everything, negotiate it out. We then send it out to you via email. And once you get that back in your hands, you can sign everything on your mobile device, on your computer, by just tapping your fingers on the spots where you need to sign. And then we take care of getting everything off to the attorneys and lenders and everybody that's involved in the transaction and getting that property closed. So that's an important part. The MLS listing of the home. A lot of times investors say to me, well, you know, Christian, you're listing it and you're only listing it for 3% commission when you go to sell the property. Am I getting lesser of a service because of that? I promise you, you are not getting less of a service. It's the volume that I do. I can do more than what your average real estate agent can do, because of the volume of business that we conduct. And it is the exact same thing. If I list my own personal home for sale, I put it into the same system that I'm putting your investment property into. There's not an inch of difference between your property and my own personal home that I'm selling because I want to move or upgrade into a new home. I'm marketing that property the exact same way. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at this. Don't look at it as because he can do it cheaper that there's less of a service being performed. There's the exact same service, and I think a better service than what your average real estate agent's doing out in the real estate market. So that's an important part. Once we get that contract all solidified, buyer's going to go ahead and do their home inspection on the property. There always will be an item or two that's going to come up on a home inspection. If we did that pre-listing home inspection before we listed the house, we're going to take the big items and get those out of the way. We're going to be dealing with a bunch of piddly little items that come up on the buyer's home inspector list. We can take care of that, get those items completed, and then once those items have been completed, we can then go ahead and get that deal confirmed, and we're on our way to closing. Once we go to close on the property, again, the same attorney and title company are involved. With the title companies and the attorneys we work with, they do give breaks to our investors. They'll let our investors know that, hey, if you bought the property and you used our attorney services and our title services to purchase the home, we're going to work out a break for you when you go to resell that property. So another benefit of using a system in place. So the next part that we're going to get into is the rental of properties. What is the process to getting your home rented?